Instruction, golf news, equipment, travel, interviews, course profiles, and more. Your weekly fix of all things golf is about to begin. It's the Flagstick Podcast with your hosts, Jeff Botter and Scott McLeod. Yes, indeed, this is the Flagstick Podcast with Jeff Botter and Scott McLeod. I am obviously Jeff Botter, and the Flagstick Podcast is brought to you this week by Ping Golf Canada and the entire all-new family of G425 irons, hybrids, fairways, and drivers. Check it all out at ca.ping.com.
How you doing, Jeffrey?
With me, here he is. After 2 weeks, we had to take a couple weeks off, but with me is my good buddy old pal, Scott McLeod. Welcome back, man? Scott McLeod.
Yeah, it's good to be back.
It's been a bit of a whirlwind, eh? It's
yeah.
You know, life gets in the way sometimes, and you just have to pivot. It's the pivot. That's the phrase that I am so sick and tired of hearing, but yet I use it all the time when I'm talking to people, especially when I'm talking business related stuff. It's like, oh yes, we had to pivot and move from doing this platform to this platform. Pivot. This is basketball.
Yeah, it's okay. It's all good. We're back. We're here. We got lots to talk about today. So
we certainly do.
Yeah, you know, it's been a busy couple of weeks for sure. Certainly some of us were under the weather, but that's okay. But yeah, lots going on, and got back to the golf course yesterday too.
I saw that. I don't know if I'm hoping that some people, I know we have a lot of followers on social media, so I'm sure that people saw your little post there. It was kind of cool pushing your cart there with the leaves rolling over on the cart wheels. It's like, there's your typical fall golf, right? It's slide in a few extra rounds before the courses start to shut down, or before the snow comes, depending which happens first, the chicken or the egg, right? The shutdown or the snow.
You know what? November golf is just such a bonus. And I mean, we'll talk about that in a little bit and talk about the golf courses and things. But, you know, the fact that we can get out and play right now still, in fact, a couple of people mentioned to me, you know, some of the weather in the last week or so feels better than some of the weather we had in September. So
I know.
that's a really cool thing. And yeah, you know what? Not always prepared to play this time of year, but you sort of have to, I guess, you know, although it's hard to get a tee time, because a lot of people want to play, and obviously it's dark early. So, you know, if you want to get in that window to play, you certainly, you know, like one guy said, it's like the Hunger Games trying to get a tee time. But yeah, if you can, you can.
That's the thing, right? And like you said, we're going to talk about that a little bit, because it is kind of a timely topic of conversation. And in the travels, there are a lot of chats that happen with golfers throughout the region who are talking about that very thing, about golfing in November and December and January and so on. So, you know, we can even talk about some of the latest times that we've ever played. So, you know, we'll get into that. I think we'll actually get into that a little bit in the back nine today.
Sure, sounds good.
But, you know, we do have a great show, lots to talk about, because we've got a couple weeks worth of goodies to share. And, you know, we're going to jump on that on the front nine right now. Front nine presented by Metcalf Golf Club. Looking for fun golf at a great rate? Save 15% when you prepay. Visit metcalfgolf.com to book. And obviously right now at metcalfgolf.com, you can be checking out membership deals and gift ideas. As sad as it sounds, we are getting into the holiday season, right?
So, we are, and those memberships are definitely going fast. I saw one club within the region, they put out their offer for their membership, and they said they can only take 400 members, and they're sold out already. So
it's insane.
You know, if you are looking for a membership for 2023, definitely be reaching out now and don't wait. Otherwise, you're going to probably be disappointed for sure.
Exactly. All right, Scott, let's jump into some front nine topics of conversation here. You know, first, right off the bat, let's talk about some college golf. You know, there's been some recent successes in college golf from some golfers throughout our region. So let's talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, basically the NCAA season is wrapping up. The Canadian college season obviously wrapping up as well. Couple players from the Eastern Ontario area having some success. I should say a couple, more than that, really, but a couple notable things of late. Izzy Ferguson, who's from Ottawa, playing out at Simon Fraser University, had a really nice finish the other week. Finished fifth in a tournament, had the third lowest score in Simon Fraser history. She shot 369 at one event. So, doing great as far as a freshman is concerned. And another freshman, Lauren Gervais, is continuing her fine play. She's at Davenport in Michigan. And she finished second last week, and that follows a string of play where she finished first. She was a medalist at one tournament, lost in a 4-hole playoff in the next one, and then finished second by a stroke in this latest one. So pretty good play there. I know Ellis Kinnaird from Ottawa has played well in some different events, and I believe Ashton McCullough from Kingston just finished sixth at an event for Michigan State. So, a lot of good success. We'll continue to report on that. Obviously, we post up stuff about that on flagstick.com all the time. And then, bleeding into that, I'll mention that, we were going to talk a little bit about the OUA championships, the Ontario University championships. They took place a couple weeks ago at Highlands, and it ended up being a cold weekend, but somebody's golf clubs were pretty hot. A guy named Nicholas Desiree from McMaster shot 63 on the North Course with 9 birdies and no bogeys to win the men's title. And the U of T won the women's title. Riley Grogan from Western earned the individual title. But yeah, 63 in
that weather.
Yeah, and nobody else broke par. So pretty impressive. And I had a pro that I know having to look up his name and said, man, this guy, I don't think he's broke 70 in
it's amazing how that happens. Sometimes
you just get hot, things are going well. I mean, yeah,
I get hot and shoot 75.
Yeah. Not 63.
No, there's not there's not very many 63s in my arsenal. I do admit that I have done it. In fact, I think 62 is the lowest that I've ever shot at Bell Park Fairways in Kingston,
which just tore down their clubhouse, by the way.
Sad. It's a sad day. It is a sad day. Bell Park.
So for people that don't know, it's a municipal golf, or was a municipal golf course down in Kingston, where we both had some memories. I worked there for a little bit. Obviously, you played there. There are some plans for redevelopment for that park facility at some point that will include golf, but it's a 15-year plan. So we're not planning to see anything there till phase 3. But yeah, I just happened to drive by the other day, and the clubhouse was still there for since the course closed.
I used to love that clubhouse
3-4 years ago. Yeah, but
tiniest little thing, but man, that was an awesome clubhouse.
But they tore it down. So unfortunately, that's the case. But I digress. Yeah, 63. Yes, I could say 63 would be probably easier to shoot in a scramble. I played a couple of scrambles.
63 would be far easier to shoot when it's 22 degrees outside, not when it's 2 degrees outside, cold and rainy.
Yeah, so impressive play there, and good of Highlands to host that championship. And I know the players enjoyed that. The women played the South Course, and the men played the North Course for that championship. Perfect. So yeah, good on everyone there for hosting the championship and putting on a good show.
Awesome. Okay, OVJ junior team. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, so we got a lot of stuff going to be happening. I had a phone call this week with Serge Lafontaine, member at Royal Ottawa. His daughter, Ashley Lafontaine, obviously a decorated player who is playing now at Elon. Serge is going to be hopping in and doing some work with the OVGA, with the team, sort of taking on a little bit of the role that Jim Davidson was doing there. Jim is still going to be involved, but Serge is sort of going to take the lead, working with Derek McDonald, who's the coach for the team. We're going to have more on that coming up. I'm going to work on a little bit of story, but the basic synopsis here is that what they're going to do with the team is they're really looking more at development. So they're trying to skew some things a little bit younger with the OVJ team than they've had before. They're still going
Hmm.
to have the older players involved, but have them involved in more of a mentorship role.
Okay.
And so we're going to see kids as young as 10 start to get involved and identified in the program. So they had a sort of a showcase get together at Royal Ottawa last weekend. They spent the first part of the day with sort of a fire. I think they did. It could be reversed the way they did it, but basically the part of the day included sort of a fireside chat with Ashley. She was there, sort of talking to the parents, talking to the kids about the junior experience and the college experience and the amateur golf experience and things like that. They did some assessment stuff. They got out on the range, did some things out there. They're still going to continue to, kind of evaluate the kids through the junior golf pathway, the tournaments and stuff, and identify kids that way. But skewing towards slightly younger. And again, this is a program that is designed to supplement the personal coaching that these players are already getting. It's just providing some different tools and different things that they can add into their training programs. But like I said, we're going to have some more on that in a bit. In fact, I think we might get Serge and Derek to pop on at some point and have a little chat about that, and we can hear it directly from them as far as what they're planning with the Ottawa Valley Golf Association junior team. And they're also now on social media as well with the
Okay.
OVJ team. So if people want to give them a follow on, I believe they're on Twitter and Instagram as well. They're going to be posting some content for the team directly from there.
Now this one, this little tidbit here was really, really quite interesting and kind of snuck up on me a little bit when I saw it posted. Was very long time golf industry course owner,
Mm-hmm.
a pioneer when it comes to golf throughout Eastern Ontario, particularly in this region. Started things up with Airport Golfland.
Yep.
Gib Patterson was honored, and this is an extraordinary honor for this man, because this man is like, I don't think that there's a human being that's associated with with golf anywhere that does not know who Gib Patterson is, who the
Yeah.
Patterson family is, but Gib in particular. I mean, I could tell stories about my dealings with my meetings and so on, and discussions with Gib Patterson. I mean, we could do a whole show just on things that I've incurred with Gib over the years, and this man is a big part of was a big part of the starting of Flagstick, and how he supported what I was doing back in 1996,
Mm-hmm.
and a very quirky way of making me think everything through from a business
Mm.
perspective, and it was never cut and dry. It was always
Almost a riddle.
it
Yeah.
really felt like riddles, and I had to put the pieces together, but
Yeah.
it's almost like he knew I would put the pieces together, and when I did, then it was all good. Yep, okay, we'll do that. But
Right.
I had to put it together. But just let's talk about what Gib was honored for,
Yeah.
because this is an extraordinary honor for him.
Yeah, so basically, they have a homecoming weekend like most other universities. So we're talking about McGill University here in Montreal, and Gib attended McGill. In fact, basically. They have a campus called the McDonald campus, which was part of the McDonald College, which was part of McGill. Very much an agricultural school, and he actually graduated with a Bachelor in Science in Agriculture from there in 1960. And on their homecoming weekend, just the weekend before last, they honored him with a Distinguished Alumni Award, basically recognizing his impact. Basically, once he graduated, where he went on to and what he did and accomplished. And obviously, as we know, he got into he was a farmer by trade, and really got into developing land and purchasing land. Decided to get into the golf business with, as you mentioned, the Airport Golfland, and establishing that, but went on to start 3 golf courses: Anderson Links, Cloverdale Links, and Emerald Links. Obviously, people are probably pretty familiar with that in the Ottawa area.
Mm-hmm.
and not only created a business empire, but a legacy that is now extended into his kids and his grandkids, and really set up his family for success. And he's never been a guy to just kind of sit back and do nothing. He's always looking at more and looking at more and looking at
Yeah.
doing different things. And as a result of it, obviously they're quite proud of him. They've been giving out these distinguished alumni awards since 2006 at McGill, but obviously, didn't speak with him, but I'm sure he's quite honored that the Alumni Association would recognize him in this way. And I know, based on, just putting the post out there was a fair bit of response from a lot
Yeah,
of
quite a bit.
people. Just people are so familiar with the Patterson family and what they've done in the golf community, and really, you know, ahead of a lot of other public golf courses. That there was that big wave of public golf courses that sort of happened in the late 1990s, early 2000s. They were ahead of that, as far as land acquisition and developing facilities and so forth. So a big honor for Gibb, and well deserved.
Yeah, no, it's extraordinary, and maybe we just look at maybe a future podcast of either, I mean, getting Gibb, or or even some other members of the Patterson family to
Sure.
come on and talk a little bit about that, because
Yeah.
I mean, that's extraordinary accomplishment for an extraordinary human being, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, for
No
sure.
question. Okay, Scott, from the standpoint of the golf professionals,
Hmm.
um, we know that this time of year, we start to see some of the courses start to, knowing that they're going to be needing some more support, some more staff, some things have changed.
Yep.
What's going on that we know of right now within the region, with respect to golf pro jobs,
Yeah.
and whatnot.
Yeah, we don't have a lot of movement yet as far as people changing jobs, but we are seeing a lot of clubs looking for more staff and facilities looking for more staff. So, for example, the Marshes, the Meadows, Ottawa Hunt, and the Kevin and Jake Golf School are all places that are already advertising for associate or assistant professionals for next year. Definitely been a shortage of staff. It's always difficult to get those extra pros onto the staff. And what I'm seeing, though, is the courses being a little bit more progressive. They're starting earlier, and I believe Rideau View is looking for one as well. There's definitely been a lot of postings of late. I think they're just trying, like I said, just to be more progressive.
Hmm.
Start the hunt now. Some of them have started their hunt a little bit too late, some years,
Yeah.
and are not. It's not easy to get staff. The issue for a lot of assistant pro jobs and so forth is you're drawing from the same pool in the same area. um a lot of the assistant jobs, just because they're not high end jobs as it is, it's hard to attract somebody from a Toronto or a Montreal or so forth. It's harder to do. You're usually pulling from the same area. So as a result of it, they're going to have to work a little harder to get people in it. We have a few more people coming into the industry that are joining the PGA and so forth, which could be helpful. But the clubs are just looking, especially with so many people coming to the golf courses and the courses being so busy, they're just looking to have more expertise on their staff. So that's why they're looking, obviously, to have a PGA professional, somebody who's dedicated to being in the industry. No disrespect to somebody who's transient and kind of works 1 year or 2 year in the industry and goes out of it, but they're looking for long-term professionals.
What's interesting is I just had a conversation with Kevin and Lisa Haime, and
Hmm.
Jake Haime as well, the other day, and we were talking about the fact that they need more teaching staff.
Right.
They have the business, they have the
Hmm.
people that want to take the lessons,
Sure.
but they don't have the staff to be able to, and they have the space at that
Yep.
range. They have a whole teaching area.
Yep.
They have the space to have a teacher on the line teaching all day long.
Hmm.
They've got room for that,
Yep.
and they don't have the staff to be able to manage it. And it just, we got talking about, because obviously we got talking about compensation, we got talking about, how much they can make and stuff like that. And it's like,
Yeah.
after having a conversation with them, I truly cannot understand why there aren't more younger or older, it doesn't really matter, but more PGA of Canada pros, whether from this area or other areas, that would not want to jump on an opportunity like that if they want to work. And this was the
Yeah.
big thing. If they want to work, they're going to
Yeah.
have to put in. It's seasonal, yes, we know that. Although Kevin Haime Golf School does have
Yeah, and
an indoor
and
option,
a lot of
but
facilities now do have indoor options
but
for sure.
having that, like, if they want to work
Yeah.
for the summer hard,
Hmm.
then there's money to be made,
Hmm.
and decent money, like,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
not chump change here. We're talking about, you know,
Yeah.
decent dollars to teach in
Yeah.
the summer and have your winters off where you can, teach at an indoor facility, or you can, take, I mean, I know some pros take the winter off,
Hmm.
some get a part-time job, some teach at golf schools, some work at simulator places, whatever the case may be. There's a
Yeah.
decent annual wage to be made.
Hmm.
Is it that there's just not the bodies out there for these positions, or there isn't the initiative by some of the younger teaching
Mm.
professionals to want to work more than 40 hours a week in the summer?
Well, there's a combination. There's a lot of different factors that are in there, in my opinion. I can tell you, yeah, I mean, the business is there. I mean, I can assure you, a lot of places are turning down a lot of lessons all over the place that, that people are getting into the
Well, you
game.
included, because you have a
Yeah,
very
for sure.
select group that you work with,
Yeah,
but it's not that there isn't the interest from other people
right.
to want to
Yeah,
get taught.
right, exactly. But I think the issue more than anything is that teaching is a very specialized thing within the golf profession as far as the pros. And I think people have to realize and understand that, golf professional kind of is one category, but there's a lot of subcategories kind of within that. Some people don't have an interest in it. They're a
Yeah.
golf professional, but they want to run the business. They want to be a GM. They want to run a club. They want to run tournaments. So, if you look within the zone, for an example, PGA of Ottawa, the number of people that are actually designated as a teaching professional, which is kind of a separate designation, there's not a lot. And obviously everyone, is capable of teaching, but um, it's also not easy.
No.
You gotta keep up. You've got to make sure your education is strong. You're working on that all the time. Plus, you know what? It's a little bit more challenging to stand on a lesson tee, for 8 or 10 hours a day working on solutions. And you got to remember, the time for golf pros and a teaching pros is not just on the tee. It's analysis work afterwards. It's cataloging, your swings and your video and all your things that are there. It's determining and putting together plans based on that for the students. So, there's a
If you're
lot of
doing
work.
the job correctly, yes.
Yeah. So there is a lot of work that's involved to it. Some people are maybe shy about that, doing that effort
Yeah.
and making that effort. But you're right. There are positions that are available, and I don't think people can sit there and complain and just wait to have everything handed to them. If they want to generate a decent amount of income and be a little bit more entrepreneurial, for sure. But they've obviously, as you said, they've got to be willing to work and put the time in. And
Yeah.
as well as I, and this is no knock on anyone in particular, but if you give somebody an option of, here, you go do the work and we'll give you this check and you do this, a lot of people they're happy with that, and that's fine. That's
Hmm.
up to them to do that. Whereas other people are like, you know what, I want to grind it out, and I want to make more, and I'm willing to put in the work. So again, it's volume. As you mentioned, there's 3 million people in Eastern Ontario, but there's only 155 PGA of Canada professionals. I can tell
Yeah.
you right now, in the clubs that I've worked with and been around, if I had a young person come in and say, hey, I want to be a PGA of Canada professional, I just want to focus on coaching, yes, they have to do all their other work to
Yeah.
be part of the PGA and their education and so forth, but I could hand somebody 200 students at this point. Like
Yeah.
there's definitely something that's there, but it's not it's not structured so much that, oh, here you're going to make this, and here's your salary, and here's this. It's like, okay, it's up to you to kind of grind that out of the dirt, which means you have to deal with, weather and cancellations and scheduling students. In maybe Kevin's situation, they do that a lot. They take care of a
Well,
lot of
that's the
those
thing. It's a
things.
situation there
Yeah,
where you got to have most of that part
taken
of it.
care
The
of for you.
administrative side of it
Yeah,
is done for you. You just got to
yeah,
show up and teach.
yes,
Anyway, that's one location. That's one situation. It was one conversation that
for
I was
sure.
having. It just happened to be kind of timely given what we were talking about
Hmm.
there. So,
Yep.
um, given that,
Yes, sir.
on that note, we're going to shake things up a little bit here on the Flagstick podcast. And since we are talking about teaching, we're going to split some things up here. And I want to head out to the lesson tee right now.
Sounds good.
The lesson tee is brought to you by the Kevin Haime Golf School. And if you're looking for private lessons, a better short game, some putting help, or a custom club fitting, visit kevinhaime.com, and remember that better golf is a lot more fun. So today, this week, Kevin and Jake Haime are going to use Gears 3D motion capture to help you out with your backswing. So let's take a look at this.
Okay, golfers, time for a quick tip. We're inside our Gears studio. Jake, tell everyone what we're working on today. It's easy for you to say.
We're working on lead shoulder adduction angle, or the relationship between your chest and your lead arm.
Yeah, right here, everyone, this angle. We don't want a ton of movement in that. So, Jake, I'm going to hit one. You tell people what we're looking for.
Yeah, so what we're looking for is as your arms extend at address, you're going to be around 80 degrees angle between your lead arm and your chest.
That angle.
And you want to maintain that relationship through most of your backswing. At the top of your backswing, your arms are going to swing around you a little bit. So we normally will see a little bit of a narrowing of the angle. You get from 84 to 63, which is excellent, but we don't want the arms going more across your chest than that.
Yeah, turn your chest, keep your arms in front of you. They will work a little bit across you, but you don't want to squish your chest and get the club tied up behind you. Work on this position, this angle, you'll play better golf.
Okay. Technology at its finest,
Mm-hmm.
pinpointing some issues and some things that people can work on, and with respect to their backswing. What did you think of that?
Yeah, I love it. The use of 3D is definitely becoming more prominent. Allows us to see things that we can't see with video, with 2D. And looking at this particular element in the backswing, we certainly see a lot of golfers that get their lead arm jammed up against their chest. They basically don't rotate their chest and their arms kind of at the rates that they should. As a result of it, they sort of create some poor timing in their downswing, as illustrated there. And you see that what they're showing. Basically, that lead arm and the angle between the lead arm and the chest certainly stays a little bit more consistent than most people think it does. And that is definitely a flaw that we see in a lot of golfers. And it's one that can be difficult to get out of. So neat way to measure it, neat way to visualize it.
It's interesting because that's one of the things in my own golf swing. And I mean, I've had the same golf swing for a long time, but one of the things in my own golf swing that I've noticed over the years is that I do feel like my left elbow, I'm a right-handed golfer, my left elbow is brushing across, like I can feel it actually brushing across my chest, like so I looked at this piece of instruction from Kevin and Jake, and I'm like, oh, man, I think I figured this out. So, but it's interesting because I can work with a golf pro like Kevin or yourself to sort of rectify that. But it's interesting that you see a tip like this, that's points something out with the 3D motion capture. That's like, oh, wait a second. I didn't even think that could possibly be what's happening, and now it is. And now I'm sure that I will not go out to the net in the yard and work on that to see if that's actually the problem. I'm pretty sure I will not get at my clubs and go and try to fix the problem. I will continue to wonder why my elbow is brushing across my chest, even though I know the answer.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, we see that happen to a lot of players basically because they start to not turn their torso as much, so they tend to get their arms across it. But
I am 25.
Yeah, that's it. But being able to quantify that and kind of look at it, like you say, in 3D and kind of measure it, it makes it more interesting for golfers because they, it's not just the pro telling them. that they're doing it and saying, hey, well, that was
visual.
better or that was worse. You're actually measuring it.
Mhm.
So, it is 100% legit, where all of a sudden they're going, hey, we're trying to work on this. Let's measure it. Let's see how it's going. And, I'm happy to work with 3D tools all the time, be it Hack Motion or 4D Motion myself, and just measuring some different things. And it's a lot easier when you can certainly lay it out that way. And yeah, it's basically it's objective.
It's funny how a lot of the younger generation of golfer is so very visual. It's not that they don't believe you when they say that you're doing this or that you need to do this, or it's from a visual perspective, whether it's video, whether it's numbers on a launch monitor. It's just that visual, the data to understand, to quantify what they're being told, to justify and support it. And it's not just, oh, what's that guy got? What's that guy know? He can't hit it as good as I can, but oh, look, this is what's going on. So it's that technology's allowed for that, because that's the generation. That's our kids.
But it's the fact that we have that technology available, and it takes out the subjectiveness of the pro, where somebody's just telling you it. It's actually proving it. And, it's not just someone behind you going, yeah, that looks good. Wink, wink. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, here's what we're trying to accomplish. Here's the range that we're trying to work in. Here's how to do it. Here's why we're trying to do it. And then you go ahead and we'll show you how to do it. They do it. They're actually able to measure it, and they're like, oh, okay, I've got the results. And, like I said, Gear's a great tool, lots of 3D tools, and we're going to see more and more of that. We're seeing markerless technology come along that we can do it from 3D or do from 2D video and convert it to 3D, lots of different things that way. But it makes it fun, but great tip there.
Cool. All right. Well, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back with the back nine, we're going to do a little product watch at some point. We're going to have some discussion about, golf courses closing. We're going to talk a little bit about the Ottawa-Gatineau Golf Expo. A little announcement came down about that. So we got a few more things to talk about on the back nine of the Flagstick podcast. So just stay there and don't go away. We'll be right back.
At Ping, we're an engineering company. Success is measured in the lab and on your scorecard. We focus on results, your results. In the G425 Max driver, that means more time in the fairway, less time in the rough. It means longer drives, shorter approach shots, and fewer putts. The new G425 drivers, taking MOI to the max. Get fit today.
Visit ca.ping.com to learn more about G425.
All right, welcome back to the Flagstick podcast. I hope you enjoyed the front nine. It was a tidy little front nine. It was a blemish-free scorecard, I believe. Gonna give us that.
I wish I had one of those yesterday.
You don't expect blemish-free scorecards in November, man.
Well, it wasn't that I played well. It's just, I had a couple little shaky holes that, counteracted the good holes.
Okay, so you have been under the weather, so you got to give a little bit of yourself a break here. That maybe you weren't up to full physical strength for your sojourn into November golf.
That explains my missed putts. Okay, perfect.
Yeah, his concentration levels were at an all-time low. Let's go with that.
All right, sounds good.
That. All right, let's try to pick up where we left off. Well, not left off entirely, because we're done talking about 3D golf for now, or 3D motion capture. But let's go back to some of the things that we were talking about on the front nine. But we're jumping in here on the back nine. Presented this week by, and as always, by Golf Sim Gurus. Work on your game all year round in the privacy of your own home. Custom golf simulator setups built to your specs and to your budget. Visit golfsimgurus.ca to learn more. Okay, so PGA of Canada. The PGA Women's Cup. Let's talk about that.
It was held for the second time. PGA Women's Cup, for people who are not familiar, is basically an event that invites allied PGA Golf Associations, a team of women. I think there's 5 countries currently taking part. First one took place down in Texas. This year took place in New Mexico, which sounds warm and cozy, but it was not, I assure you. I had a chat with one of the participating players, and they dealt with everything from snowflakes to you name it. But I will say they played at the Twin Warriors Golf Club in New Mexico, and the team of Emma DeGroot, who was the playing captain, Katie Rutherford, Casey Ward Golf, who's the aforementioned player I spoke with, who's originally from Picton, Ontario, Christine Wong, and Caroline Siot. They finished second.
Wow.
They had the lead over Team America for a lot of the event, and they had a great even final round, under par final round, which is hard to do, you know, in a team event. And they lost by a slim, I think, 2 strokes to the Team USA. So great showing there. Cool event. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, they get to represent the PGA of Canada and get, you know, in international competition, which, you know, a lot of these players are no stranger to. I mean, you look at those 5 players, they've all played a lot of great golf over the years at, you know, throughout the world. But yeah, fine play, and certainly very competitive. So nice to see.
Nice. Well done, Canada. Damn Americans.
No offense to our American audience.
No, we love our American audience. We just don't want you to beat us.
Yeah, there you go.
Golf Canada.
Yes.
We celebrated or honored some volunteers through Golf Canada, and some well-deserved and well-known people that were honored as well.
Yeah, so during the World Junior Girls Championship, which was held at Angus Glen a couple weeks ago, they celebrated a couple of their longtime volunteers. And if anybody has ever been to any of the big Golf Canada events, CP Women's Open, RBC Canadian Open, Canadian Amateur, so forth, the faces of Barb Allen from Kingston and Jim Clark of Aurora, Ontario, are very familiar ones. Jim, in fact, was recently won the Dick Grimm Award from the Golf Journalists Association of Canada. I believe since 1984, he's only missed 1 Canadian Open as a volunteer, something like that. Barbara, former president of Golf Ontario, you know, she's obviously been very active in multiple associations. They were both honored as life governors for Golf Canada, and just for their long-serving contributions to Golf Canada and the sport of golf in Canada. And I know Barbara has been influential for me. She was part of my thank yous at a recent award, just because her and her husband Wayne Oakley got me involved with a player development program at Golf Ontario at the Kingston level.
Right.
And these two certainly, you know, they've given, they ask for nothing and they give everything.
Yeah.
You know, these are people that have done this for years and years and years and years. We're talking, you know, decades, and, you know, how do it out of the goodness of their heart and the goodness of the game. And, you know, we saw Barbara, for an example, as the starter this year when Laurie Kane was playing her last round at the CP Women's Open. They're all both well recognized, well respected, and certainly this is deserving for them to be honorary life governors for Golf Canada.
Well done. Congrats.
Yeah,
to both of them. Brooke Henderson participated in the Ladies European Tour event, the Aramco series event, the Ladies European Tour. And I mean, I'd like to say it's no surprise, but she played well. She usually does. In fact, the 25-year-old from Smith Falls had just 1 golfer ahead of her by the time the event's 54 holes of play at the Trump Golf Links at Ferry Point were completed. That winner was Lexi Thompson. And you know, good for Brooke. So so she finished up at -8. And that was only 3 shots behind Lexi at -11. And her back nine actually included a 4. It was 4 under par. So she had a bit of a charge on the back nine, but sometimes you can charge all you want. You can drive as fast as you like. But as Lewis Hamilton has found out in F1 many times, Max Verstappen is still faster.
Good analogy.
Sorry,
there.
that's like that's a good analogy for a golf show, right?
Yeah.
Let's talk a little F1.
Yeah, so that was a couple of weeks ago now. Brooks had a little bit of a gap, and then getting ready for the finals coming up, the last event of the year. The LPGA is over in Japan right now. She's not playing that the Toto Classic. They've had a couple of stops over there, but obviously they've got their year-ending tour championship coming up. She's gearing up for that. I believe she's 4th in the CME to Race to the Globe rankings heading into that. Certainly in contention, so going to be a good final gap. So basically she's after the Aramco event, she's taking some time to kind of prepare and and get ready for that final event, and that's really been her MO this year in her schedule. She's managed her schedule quite well. Obviously got a couple of wins, but she basically plays for a few weeks, takes some time off, preps for the majors, preps for the big events, and certainly it's been quite successful for her so far. So we'll see how she parlays that second at the Aramco and the LET event into the finale here coming up for the LPGA.
All right, enough talk about Brooke Henderson. No more talk about Brooke Henderson today.
Ever?
No, not ever. That'd be downright stupid and psychotic. But let's talk about the Ontario Golf Hall of Fame. Now, let's set this up. This was 2 weeks ago now.
Yeah,
but it goes back further than that. But forget about how far back it goes. That's irrelevant. Let's talk about 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago, on a Monday, I got up at very early in the morning,
dark o'clock.
5 o'clock, at dark o'clock, we call it, 5 o'clock in the morning, and I drove to Uxbridge in Toronto to be a part of the Ontario Golf Hall of Fame induction ceremonies, which included a nice 18-hole
round of golf.
We'll call it, which But the purpose of being there, despite, the wonderful 18 holes of golf that I had the opportunity to play with very good friend, good buddy, Grant Fraser, and my good buddy, old friend, Scott McLeod here. We had an awesome day on the links. Derek McDonald was with us as well. 4 guys freezing our duties off, playing golf. Had little hot pockets in the midst. We didn't get much rain, but there was a little bit. And when it did come down, it just made everything even colder for the rest of the round. But we survived that. But the purpose of being there, the purpose of grinding out this round of golf was so that we could be around that evening as our good friend, Scott McLeod, was honored as this year's recipient of the Lauren Rubenstein Media Award, the Ontario Golf Hall of Fame. Now, you were honored alongside of 2 other fantastic journalists, Ted McIntyre and Tim O'Connor, as well as David Gourlay, not a media member, but as an inducted Hall of Fame. Inducted in the Hall of Fame as well. It was so awesome to be there for that, to see that happen, to listen to the speeches, to listen to your speech, to see how your wife Michelle and your daughter Elsa, by your side, to see the emotion that that poured out during this honoring this induction. So I want to say my congratulations to my best friend Scott for his honor, for being inducted into the Ontario Golf Hall of Fame, particularly in this media category. Congrats to you. Thank you for allowing me to be a part of that. And no cold temperatures in the world would have stopped me from being there, my friend.
Well, I appreciate you coming, that's for sure. And it was first off, it was a big honor, and it was great to have a lot of people there. And it's just kind of weird because, as I said, you don't do what you do for awards, but it's nice when you're recognized, and it's nice to be put in that position that you can thank the people that helped you along the way, which obviously, as you said, made for an emotional speech. I kept together at some parts of it, other parts not so much. But as I said, I doing a podcast, doing a TV show, doing a radio show, that's fine. But when you obviously, step up there to do a speech and the whole room's looking back at you, and there's obviously some people that are very important to you that are in that room.
Yeah.
And so that it's fun to do. It was a great night. I really enjoyed it. I appreciate everybody from, Golf Ontario and the committee doing what they did. We had a good stay up there as well, stayed at the cabins there at Wooden Sticks. And it was just fun to be able to look back, and even writing the speech too. I tried to keep it concise. You're given 20 to 25 minutes, but I'm like, 7 to 10 is good for me. But it's a fun exercise to kind of look back over, 30 years plus in the golf industry, and kind of, look at your journey and kind of the key points and things that are there, and make mention of them. And it also gives you a little bit of a platform as well to maybe share some different messages for people that are follow.
Yeah, for sure.
So, but yeah, big honor just to be included in, with those people that have already been part of that Lauren Rumstein Media Award. Obviously, to win an award with Lauren's name on it was very meaningful as well. And
Very much.
my last thing I'll say was thank you to everyone who reached out. Basically I'm still getting messages from people regarding it. Even the people I played with yesterday, the one guy, mentioned it right away. As we're heading into the back nine, he sort of slipped it in there as far as, you just don't know who's paying attention to what, nor does it, I'm not going to say it doesn't matter. It's just nice when they obviously recognize and see that, you're doing something to contribute to golf in Ontario. And I think that's the biggest takeaway for me from the award, is the fact that, it's about contributions to golf in Ontario, not just media in Ontario. It's about contributing something back to the game. And, that's the whole point of it. So yeah. Thank you to everyone. Thank you for being there. Enjoyed that game with you and Derek and Grant. And as chilly as it was, we still had fun. Yeah.
Okay, so one last thing before we move on to a new topic or a new segment. I want to talk about, because the timely nature of this right now, it's November. Yeah, we're slipping in a few rounds of golf here and there if we can, but the reality is the golf courses are starting to shut down. They're closing. Now, what kind of comes up from this, I guess is why I'm sort of bringing this up, is I happen to be at the gas station, and somebody, obviously I get talked to a number of times at gas stations and grocery stores and so on when it comes to golf. People recognize, my license plates or me or whatever. And they were talking about how their golf course is closing next Monday, next week.
Yeah.
And they seem sad about it. And I'm like, yeah, that's probably a pretty good idea, a good time to close. I said, well, why? Why would they close? Like, well, why wouldn't they close? It's November. Yeah, but it's supposed to be in the high teens all week. I mean, it's still going to be really good golfing weather. And I'm saying, well, I'm sure there's a golf course somewhere that's going to be that doesn't care about closing. But I mean, do you think that maybe the superintendent at your home club might be wanting to take advantage of some of that warmer weather to get some things done around the golf course before it snows? Because what's likely going to happen is we're going to get this really good stretch of nice warm weather, and then it is just going to flip on its side overnight. We're going to get dumped with 2 inches or 3 inches or 6 inches of snow, and they're not going to be able to do anything to put the course to bed. They have to, people have to understand, and I know most people do get the concept of aerating greens and top dressing and things like that, but they have to some of them have to pull benches in, ball washers. They have to take hitting nets in.
Lines.
They have to blow out the irrigation lines. They have to, like, there's a lot. They have to put down some fungicides to ensure that the greens don't get too much snow damage or snow mold or stuff in the spring. So that you have good playing conditions when the snow melts, and you're not complaining about, oh, we lost the greens, or oh, look at all the silver dollar spots all over their dead spot. There's things that have to be done, and they can't wait.
Yeah.
So they know that they're going to get a stretch of good weather for a week. A week is an eternity for a golf superintendent of warm weather to be able to get stuff done to put the course to bed for the season. Like, this is imperative. Like, do you agree?
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing here is that, you know, I mean, I don't fault people because they want to go out and play, and they see nice weather and they see the opportunity to be outside. I see, just, you know, in that situation, just people that just don't understand how a golf course operates. They don't know what happens behind the curtains, and there's a lot of things that are taking place here, as you mentioned. You know, putting a course to bed. Some golf course facilities, and Archie's down in Cornwall, for an example, you know, the range down there, they have contractors set up to do certain projects this time of year. They plan to close because they plan their business and say, hey, at this time of year, we're going to do this. We have to get the contractor in to do this. They have a certain schedule. They can't just all of a sudden push them back. You know, golf courses like Camelot, for an example, they're resurfacing a whole bunch of greens. They plan for a certain time, and they're going to shut down and do. Yes, it's nice weather, but you got to remember that weather is less predictable than all the other things that they can plan and work around that they need to do, as you said.
Yeah.
For the springtime.
It could just as easily be not nice weather right now, too. Because it is November. It could just as easily be terrible weather while they're doing these projects. So
look at the weather we played in there 2 weeks ago. The other side of it,
that's the kind of weather I'm expecting to see right now. Right. So do you want to be a golf course superintendent trying to get your golf course put to bed and that kind of crap?
Yeah. The other side of it is they have to plan for things like staff. They don't necessarily have staff. They were going the process. They lay off their staff or whatever the case may be. Those staff maybe have other jobs as well. They're moved on to other things. I know, for an example, at the course where I play, the pro, his contract actually is done at October 31st. He is actually there for the next 13 days or almost 2 weeks as a volunteer. He has decided to volunteer because he's the only guy running the pro shop. And basically, he's cleaning carts, he's doing everything, and he's doing that out of consideration for the members. And here's the thing. There's people coming in and complaining, oh, I can't get a cart for 18 but no, because I'm already in here volunteering, and we need to stay here for 13 hours on my own time, just so you can have a cart to wait till dark or whatever the case may be. So lack of staff is also part of it as well, because that's part of the planning. You know, their staff are on to other things. It's been hard enough to get staff during the year. It's hard enough to have pro shop staff once the school season starts, because you have a lot of seasonal employees that way. So yeah, there's a lot that go into it. Some courses are flexible enough and they have things in place that they may be able to do that. I know some courses that are, there's a course that's open this weekend, for an example, that's reopened for Friday to Sunday, but they've also warned people, we're aerating during the process. We've got a reduced fee. We'll let you basically take a walk with your golf clubs. Don't expect primo conditions, but we still have to get this work done.
Well, exactly. And I think Perth Golf Course is actually donating
part of their green
green fees to charity this coming week to, that's closing out the season in style. We're going to be open. We're going to take some of the money to cover operating expenses and stuff. We're also going to take some of that money and donate it to charity. Not necessary, but really great,
nice of them to do it,
great gesture to go ahead and do something like that. So I guess the moral of the story is, if they're open and you can play, go play. If they want to close, don't complain about them closing, because I guarantee that there's more of a reason for them to be closed than there is for them to be open. So
you're right.
It's November. You had a great run. You got an early start this year. You played into October. suck it up, Buttercup. Put the clubs
Yeah.
away. Go shine them up. There's lots of indoor golf options available for you as
Yeah.
soon as all the golf courses are closed. I guarantee that
Yeah.
one is for sure, especially now.
Yeah, I think it's funny though. It's November and people are complaining about a frost delay.
Good
you know,
Lord.
when they get some frost delays. So last thing on that, I tweeted on the weekend and I said, you know, I think a frost delay is nature's way of giving you more time to go and thank the staff
Yeah.
at the golf course for a good season and everything that they've done. So don't think about just yourself. Think about the staff and what they put in during the year, because it's been a long, hard year. Believe me, a lot of them want to lock the door as quickly as possible.
Yep.
And not because they want to be, you know, they want to shut the golfers out. It's time. They just need the rest. And you know,
Yep.
Thank you to the golf courses that are staying open right now and are still, you know, still available. But yeah, please be understanding as far as why they're not.
There you go. Well said. All right. Lastly, let's dive into our product watch. We're going to talk. About wedge shafts. Product watch is brought to you by Greensmere Golf and Country Club. Elevate your game at Greensmere. Choose between two great 18-hole championship golf courses, distinctively different, definitely challenging. Visit greensmere.com for info or to book a late season tee time. And so Scott, the Project X wedge shaft. This is, I mean, we have a little bit of time left here, so we're gonna bang this one out. But wedge shafts are just as important, and flex in wedge shafts is just as important as flex in a driver shaft. I mean, some people don't understand that there is flexes to wedge shafts. They're not just all one flex, even though they're the shortest club in your bag next to your putter.
Yeah. Flex and weight. Both of those things matter a fair bit. And, you know, one of the things that happens for a lot of people is that they, you know, a lot of people will want a slightly softer shaft in their wedges, just to kind of encourage a little bit more feel, taking some partial shots, not stressing the shaft as you normally would in a full swing. So what happens for a lot of clubs or a lot of sets, especially when we look at shafts, is that when players all of a sudden go to a softer shaft in a lot of other companies, that brings down the weight. So you end up getting lighter into some of those wedge shafts when you go down and flex. Well, that doesn't work as well. The heavier weight, that sort of encourages a little flatter ball flight in a lot of cases. And so what's happened is that, you know, Project X, super popular shaft, been around quite some time. They've decided to come up with a wedge shaft that, you know, it allows you to go softer, but it allows you also to maintain weight a little bit more. Now, this is still a fairly stiff shaft. Project X, for people that are familiar with it, is a shaft that is very stiff in the butt, the mid part of the shaft, and the tip as well. But again, this allows you to keep up the weight. Now, this shaft is one that's coming out.
Right. This is a prototype right now.
Yeah, you're going to see it on tour. It's going to start to show up at club makers quite shortly. I just happened to play golf with, you know, a couple of the guys from True Temper in my scramble team, and our buddy Kenny Thompson had this shaft in his wedges, so I got to play around with it a little bit and hit it and so forth. So, you know, so people that are familiar with it, it's already been started to test on the PGA Tour. It showed up in Las Vegas already, and so it's a wedge only length shaft, kind of 35.5. Does come in a couple of flexes, 6.5 and 7.0, but allows players, like I said, to maintain the weight without kind of, you know, dropping down if they're going to go in a softer shaft, but they can still maintain their weight. So a neat addition, something some people have been waiting for some time, and it's not for me. I'm not a Project X sort of guy, but, you know, players obviously like a Rory or whatever, you know, love the Project X. So a popular shaft, and should be a nice addition for sure.
There you go. Another fine product watch brought to you by Greensmere Golf and Country Club. All right, Scott, 2 weeks in the making.
Yeah. Hey, maybe one more thing we should talk about, though.
All right.
That NGCOA shows.
Oh,
we were talking about that.
Sorry.
Before we go.
Damn, forgot all about that. See, 2 weeks delayed, my brain's already fried. Okay. For the past 3 seasons, I think now, we have done the Ottawa-Gatineau Golf Expo has been a virtual show.
Correct.
Which has been very successful. We've been heavily involved in that, and the NGCOA Canada has rolled out this nationwide version of the Golf Expo on a virtual platform, and it's been very successful. However, as COVID limitations, restrictions, and so on get reduced and lifted, then in-person events such as expos, golf expos, home shows, and so on, things are returning to that sort of normalcy. And it appears as though the NGCOA is going to be bringing back the in-person Ottawa-Gatineau Golf Expo, as well as the ones across Canada. But particularly for us, we're talking about the Ottawa-Gatineau Golf Expo. So this is great. I don't know where I'm at with it right yet. I haven't quite figured it. We talked about this. We always try to be involved in the Golf Expo. We changed the way we were involved in it a bunch of years prior to COVID, and then obviously with the virtual shows, it was very easy to figure out how you were going to be involved. Doing an in-person, having a booth, that kind of stuff. Not too sure exactly how we're going to play this one out. We'll have to figure it out because this announcement just sort of happened, so there's a lot to think about. But they got a lot of work ahead of them, and it's going to be interesting to see how it sort of progresses.
Yeah, we've got the full details up at flagstick.com, but NGCOA Canada obviously announced it this week. They're going to maintain the online platform, which crosses 5 regions, so they're going to still have that available for people that choose to do it that way. But they're going to have 3 in-person shows, 2 in late February, which will be the ones in Abbotsford, BC, and the one in Laval, and then early March will be the one in Ottawa-Gatineau. So those will be the 3 in-person ones that are coming back. But like I said, at the same time, they'll still be running the online. So we're going to see how that sort of plays out and who participates in what way. And then obviously we'll discuss how we're going to be participating and how that's going to take place as far as us and how we might be involved with that show come March.
Yeah, and we'll keep you updated on flagstick.com as to how things are progressing with the developments surrounding the show as well, not just our involvement. But good that you brought that up, Scott, because I did want to make sure we didn't wait a week to get that in.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Now we're officially done for the week. Thank you. Thank you to all our sponsors, of course, Metcalf Golf Club, Golf Sim Gurus, Greensmere Golf and Country Club, Kevin Haime Golf School, and of course, our presenting sponsor this week and many weeks, Ping Golf Canada. If you're looking to improve your game, then check out the entire family of G425 drivers, fairway woods, hybrids, and irons at ca.ping.com. We're really hoping that you're enjoying what you're hearing and watching with this podcast. Be sure to follow us across all the social media networks on all the platforms, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. Subscribe on Spotify, Audible, Google Podcasts, and Apple Podcasts. Don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel. We continue to encourage you to jump on there and subscribe. Please do so. Like us, click the notification bell, and make sure that you are notified of every single episode as we release it. Get over to flagstick.com. As always, more amazing golf content uploaded to flagstick.com on a daily basis. We always appreciate you tuning in. Until next week, I am Jeff Botter.
I'm Scott McLeod.
And always remember, go for the stick.